some of the prices that you see that people are throwing at marketing or AdWords or anything like that, it's criminal. And we're talking in some cases like $10,000 to $20,000 a month or more. And you look at that portion of their revenue and like how many leads, and if they're not actually doing the attribution to match up what they're making in their revenue to what they're paying for their marketing, that's where people miss the boat. Sometimes it's just a vanity thing, like, oh yeah, we're taking care of it, we can use that. But they're not actually looking to see what they're actually booking out of it in order to justify those expenses. And some of those expenses are just overinflated.
The new Flat Rate Podcast.
The new Flat Rate!
For contractors ready to boost tickets, simplify business, and gain freedom. Today, we sat down with Colleen Keyworth. She is the Vice President of Online Access. And now, your host, me, Natalie Cope, and your co-host, Danielle Putnam.
So what we're talking about today is what contractors are wasting money on right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, here's why it's okay for us to talk about this. And we don't want this to be an episode where people are like, I'm not going to listen to them talk about that. It's because Colleen and I are both from family contracting companies.
Mhm.
And so her dad, my dad, brothers, husbands, like we've been born and bred in this, and we are still born and bred in it, and our families still have these companies and we're still involved. And so this is us speaking from existing experience today, watching our family businesses go through this. Also, we work with contractors all over. Colleen does, we do here at the New Flat Rate. And so we get to hear a lot of stories and we want to talk about it so that together we can collectively navigate our futures better.
Let's talk about through the years with that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like how that's evolved, what people are wasting their money on, and how the scams change, and how it's, yeah, there's a lot of things. I just talked to Fred last night about some of this. I just got off the phone call with a sales call of a guy who's going through some of this. And some of this, especially with the AI stuff, there's more things now that people are just falling into, and they're just fear-based, that they just want to buy solutions for.
Great point on the AI. Everybody's wanting to jump in there. And what we've been learning is if it is not in production, whatever you're playing with, then it's just science. And so we've got all these teams that are just, oh, well, I'm just experimenting. I'm learning. I'm taking all these courses. I'm learning. But none of it is producing revenue yet. And I saw somebody post on a chat forum the other day. They said, please tell me, is there anyone on here who actually has made any money at all, any dollars at all from AI? Not saving time and efficiency, but brought in any dollars. And it was crickets.
So everybody, the AI got introduced, and as it was slowly introducing, I've done a topic on this probably about 40 to 50 times at different events, and every time it's different. It moves too fast. It just moves like lightning. Before, we were introducing people on how to prompt. Now we're in like what GPT is, and now we're talking about, hey, this is what, agentic AI is, and this is where search engines are going, and this is what's going to happen, and you're going into the future. But then now, so many people want to say it's like so much different, and like if you're not here, then you're garbage. Like it's really, really, really toxic. I think some of the absolutes that people are trying to bend between, and then it's that FOMO, because let's face it, contractors are always going to be if I'm not listed as good as the next guy, then I'm behind, or if I don't have this. And they also, unfortunately, contractors are also very much like, my time's valuable, and if I can pay money to get it done, I want that silver bullet. I want as little of my participation because I don't want to learn a new thing. I'd rather pay somebody to do it for me. And I get that. And there's a fear behind that, though, too, that sometimes makes people make crazy decisions. So much of the revenue making, you're right. So many people experiment like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. So when we're saving time and we're making automations in our own business and saving our mental capacity, yeah, I think there is definitely a direct, tangent to revenue when it comes to like saving our time as leaders, or our time as managers, or just like just time in general, because we know time is the one big commodity that we can't get back. So yes, I think there is some direct correlation to revenue there. But like some of the stuff may surprise you, that so much of the original stuff that the contractors were actually doing in SEO were already big investments for their search presence and what's going on now, but they're being sold a lot more to it. Not that there's not things that you can improve upon, but like I have a client in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and they are killing it in AIO search, or AI overview, basically, or you have the Gemini overview in search right now. Because of all the time they invested in making content and pages, you can't really do a search in anywhere in North Lauderdale or Fort Lauderdale or anything like that without them coming up as one of the top options in that Gemini overview because they already answered questions. And so then Gemini grabs their information and puts them at the top. Now, there are good things and bad things to this. Good is people think that they're the expert because all the content's coming from there and they're reading the AIO stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Bad, maybe that means they lose out on the entrance to their website
Mm-hmm.
because the exchange of content has gone so crazy now where it's a
Right.
zero-click search. So now
Yeah.
I'm giving away my information for free, but not getting the exchange.
Yeah. Where are they putting this information in? Where are they answering the questions?
So right now, and this is a big conversation where the real estate's going on a Google search page. So if I search AC repair, North Lauderdale, Florida, it comes up with a whole bunch of information in that section. So you have the Google Local Service Pack, and then you'll have AI Overview,
Mm-hmm.
which is Gemini spit out of what it searched and giving you information from different pages. And our contractor can end up coming up in the first two and then one other person. But it gave snippets from their website answering that question about why they were the best and gave links to their website. Then below that, you had the map pack and you had the organic listings. And so it keeps kind of going from there. And the first top listing, and this is something people need to remember, was Yelp.
Mm-hmm.
Those third-party citations that we hate are
Mm-hmm.
now more important than ever. And so things that were just basic, like if people were paying attention to their Yelp, their Yellow Pages, their Angie's List, their Home Advisor, their Porch, their Thumbtack, these are all coming up in search for them as well. And so it's not rocket science, more is it less if there's nothing else published about you online, then any of these agents, whether they're AI or traditional search, aren't finding you. So as far as direct revenue, we're talking about you coming up in search. I think a lot of people think that they're missing the boat on a lot of stuff. I'm not saying there's stuff they can't add to it and add more content and get more detailed FAQs, blog posts, whatever. But I am saying that your traditional investment in that hasn't, been a bad investment because it's still coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think when we get afraid of I'm missing out, everything's changing, we want to do all of it right now to make sure that we don't miss the boat. And doing it all is actually going to make us miss the boat. I think we need to
Mhm.
narrow it down and say, okay, which area do I want to participate in? Where do I want to learn? Where do I want to actually successfully start testing instead of trying to do everything at once and just moving? I mean, business after business after business, the ones that win are the ones that don't quit. And this has always been,
Sure.
and it always will be those that don't quit. But you can't do everything at one time.
But shiny objects is the big thing in our industry.
Right. Yes,
I
yes.
think of your no post all the time. I
Hmm.
think of that years ago you posted that, the ability to say no.
Yeah. And right now, I think we need to remember that and we need to strengthen that muscle again. I just read a book on spring break last week. It's
Oh, that looks like fun.
Let Me Save You 25 Years. It's actually, those it's the no bean bag, the love sacks, the big
Yeah, yeah,
humongous bean
yeah.
bag. It's like you see them, they're as big as a table, and you just want to go
Sure.
on it, right? So, anyway, that's the founder. It's his 25 years. They're actually on NASDAQ now. Their symbol is love. But he filed Chapter 11. They were at 70 million a year in revenue, and they couldn't even afford a house, like totally broke. But they tried to do everything too fast, right? I know
Yeah.
what our podcast is about. And here I am squirreling. We need a squirrel. But he opened up all these stores, and then he had to close all these stores. And anyway, it's
But when
classic.
we talk
You've
about
heard the
contractors
story
wasting
over and
money,
over
that's a
again.
core thing.
Yeah. Yes. And I think owners, operators, entrepreneurs, we want so bad and we try so hard, but we've got to say no to things. We've got to narrow it down. And with AI and not losing money and making money, let's test one thing at a time. I'm
Sure.
gonna take a pause here because I know we're just rolling all over the place. Natalie, where would you like us to go?
Here.
Bring us there.
Colleen, right
Natalie.
now, Colleen, right now, contractors are spending money trying to grow. But where are you actually seeing money get wasted?
Recently, we have a lot of guys who, well, how would I characterize this? It's funny because you see everybody all over the place, and there's different types of contractors. The ones who have been through the shiny object phase, the ones who have been like, I am too old to want to even try this. Like, I just want somebody to do it for me. Or the guys that are like tinkering in their basements and they're at after hours, they're like loving this stuff and they're, contractor by day, AI wizard by night. And then they're coming at you and saying, well, I know this, this, and this, and we're going to do this. So it's a wide gamut here. But I will say, generally speaking, I see a lot of guys finding things like people selling them AI packages or high boost stuff or blog posts or Reddit posts or anything like that. And so they try to buy these things. And what we found a lot of them is they'll be like, oh yeah, they just implement with your website or we'll build you a website and it's going to be an AI website and it's just going to be so much faster and so much nicer than what you have now. And for us, it's like, okay, sure. Like there's definitely things that AI can do with websites now that blow my mind.
Mm.
But the foundational stuff, it seems to be missed. A lot of it's how they're being rendered, whether they're even indexable by Google. A lot of it is whether their content sounds like it's propagated by 100 other people and there's nothing authentic about it, that it's just the same regurgitated crap that's being regurgitated all around the internet because nobody's using their intellectual property or their experience or authority on it. Like, I think that's the biggest things is where people are being fearful. We had a couple guys even recently that are like, well, we're going to try this AI website thing because my buddy's doing it. He built one for me and we're just going to go to it. And so it was like, okay, cool. You know what? And we've asked, like, say, hey, can we watch your analytics for you? Like, and like, we just, hey, just let's just kind of track this. And sure enough, we're able to see like literally the plateau. Like they don't even do 301 redirects when they launch. So now Google doesn't even know where they're being indexed. Their pages, only some of them are being spidered. They're using plugins that aren't helping them. They look beautiful and they look like they're doing well, but they've lost their substance.
Mm.
And I guess that's the best way to say it. And so, like, so much of what's coming at people is it's this fear-based, I gotta try and find something cheaper. I gotta try and find something better. I'm gonna miss out. And so I've seen that recently where somebody's switched immediately to an AI-driven stuff where they built it themselves and missed some of the core fundamentals that are still very much alive.
Hmm.
And then the other side would be like packages or bundles or supplemental stuff in order to, make sure they're not missing the boat. And you know what? Everybody's gonna try something. And I will say, like, a lot of the people who have been through this where with God, we've had so many curveballs thrown at us over the years. It's not just AI.
Yeah.
Backlinks were a big one for a while. People paying for that. Like it's just I think a lot of the people that kind of have seen it go before they're waiting to see where it's going next, but they don't want to miss the boat. They just want to stay informed. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, no, I would say some of that stuff is the biggest waste of money we've seen so far. And some of the people that we've talked to are paying somewhere like $5,000 in some case for like a thing, or like it could be a couple $100s a month, or I just paid this guy this one time to do this and now I don't have to pay anymore. So it just seems kind of weird. Another
Yeah.
one is citations because they've become such a big deal that when you get into your citation stuff, whether it's Yellow Pages, Yelp, Angie's List, any of those kind of stuff, you get trapped in some of those contracts because once you claim your listing, which is very important that you do so, you get caught up in an ads package with them too. And they try to sell you leads and they try to sell you other things. And sometimes you buy things that you probably don't need, or you kind of get trapped, but you're afraid not to miss out, not to have those listings. So
Well, why do you think so many contractors fall into that trap?
I do think it's a lot of misinformation and it's a lot of changing information. And to be fair to all of my agency friends out there, it's happening very fast.
Hmm.
Um, Heck, by the time this podcast launches, some of the stuff I might be talking about might not even be relevant, to be honest with you. That's how fast it's moving. And so it's a topic that people are afraid to say absolutes on,
Hmm.
because it moves that fast. We have definitely thought leaders in the space that are like light years ahead of like, hey, this is where it's going. And I can respect that. I think that's where it's going. I can 100% believe that. But I also need to focus on where it's at now
Yeah.
because we have a summer to get through. I can't say you can't future plan for stuff, but we have to be where homeowners right now. And our industry is slow to adapt. Even
Mhm.
our homeowners are slow to adapt. I don't think how they're asking for information changes. I think that's going to get more and more complex now that they have so many tools to ask for the info that they want. And that brings Danielle and I to some of the biggest topics that we're going to have to face, which is pricing.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think we can hide that anymore. And AI is going to give all of the power to the homeowner to be able to fish that out. And we just have to make sure we're prepared to make sure it's the right information that all these AI engines are finding. So I do think a lot of it's fear and just the information changes so fast and the stories are inconsistent.
Hmm. So if all these trends just aren't working, everything they're investing in, wasting their money on, what should they be focusing on instead?
I'm glad you asked. So, I do know one thing for we've been doing this for years, but like myself, I've probably been involved 13 to 15 years just watching Google and seeing the trends. And not
Mhm.
even just Google, just how homeowners stuff or how contractors are put online or web. I don't believe Google's going away. I don't believe these AI engines are going away. But I
Hmm.
do believe one thing that we have seen remains true no matter what, is they are always going to default to the real, the authentic, the legit, because
Hmm.
there's so much fake out there and because it's now become easier to create the fake. It is more important than ever to show who you are, what you do, why you do it. Your authenticity is a big deal. Google has their EAT metric where they want to find your authority. They want to find, your trustworthiness. They want to find why you're the expert, your expertise in a certain field. And it's a really big deal that those metrics, if you're able to prove that as a contractor and you have that in your content, you have that in your branding, that is what's going to win no matter what. I don't care if you're an AI engine, I don't care if you're Google. Like it's the one thing that resonates because that's what people are looking for and that's what the stuff that's unique. So I do think at the end of the day, if you're able to publish that about your business, nothing's really sacred anymore. We had to do a deep dive even to our stuff. Like we've been around 26 years. We had to go page by page by page. And there were so many things, even services we were offering our clients. We're like, oh, we thought we wrote that down or we had that published. We
Hmm.
never did. And so if it's not published, it's not discoverable. And I think that is something that we have to get used to is being more open about how we're the authority, why we're trustworthy, gives us our expertise and, being able to tell that story.
Are contractors sometimes spending more money when they actually need better systems or training?
Um, that's always a cart before the horse or a horse before the cart or chicken before the egg, right? I mean, every marketer will give you this thing. So like even if like in a perfect world, let's say every piece of marketing works and we serve you up I had this happen recently. We serve you up a whole bunch of leads off of one thing that you did. Maybe you actually invested in some retargeting ads, or maybe it was a mailer campaign or something like that. But then we find out that you don't have any systems in place for your calls or empathy with your CSRs or any kind of
Hmm.
booking thing. The more you listen to calls, and I challenge anybody to do this, the more you want to just shake. And I'll be there. We've had to do the same thing for our team too.
Yeah,
And
same.
it is what my friend Danielle calls the executive ride along.
Good.
And do not expect what you don't inspect. And sometimes you, as the leader, can assume that everybody has the same attention to detail or the same sensitivities to where the customer's at as you do. And you realize unless you are taking the time to like inform your team what those are, to have strict training policies on that, that's a big deal. We even had one just as recently as this week where we listened to the call and like you're just shaking by the end of it and you're so frustrated. And I think what hurts the worst is that you have to blame yourself
Hmm.
and be like, all right, we got to do better. And that's where we lost a customer. And a lot of it is the personal interaction. I don't care how much AI tools you have. I don't care if you get the lead in there by paying, thousands of dollars to Google. If you cannot create a transaction process that the customer feels taken care of,
Yeah.
that they feel heard, and that they're able to easily book, then it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Well, then how much is this actually a marketing issue versus what's happening once the lead comes in?
Well, I think it all kind of marries together. Every marketing company can tell you, like, yeah, we can get you leads, but like, what's the booking? And so every contractor at certain times of year be like, my phone stopped ringing. What's wrong with my website? I love that. I love that. It's my favorite. I want to have a shirt that says March happens every year, like something like um it is definitely, as our friend Crystal would say, she's like, you have to prepare for those things. There has to be, things that you have like a lever that you can pull to be able to put something out there ahead of time. It's not just knee-jerk reactions. But the thing is marketing is one piece, and Crystal says this too, of that three-legged stool. You have your operations, you have, your marketing, and then you have like your actual services. And
Hmm.
if one of those legs isn't working, it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
You could have two solid legs. Like you could have great marketing and you could have fantastic service. But if your operations don't work, it doesn't matter. And you could have fantastic operations and great service, but you have crap marketing. So either
Yeah.
way, it is definitely something that has to support each other.
And in business, we think that we have to have all three of those legs perfect from the very beginning and that they always will be perfect once we get them done. But I mean, all of a sudden, we're in business for 15, 20 years and we're like, oh, I'm still working on things. And that's okay
Yeah.
because that's business. We will always still be working on things. And so right now, you might need more attention on your operations. Tomorrow, next quarter, you might need more attention to your marketing. The quarter after that, you might need more attention to your service deliveries. And so we're constantly working on balancing and growing the business. I'm going to work over here. I'm going to work over here. I said to somebody the other day, I was like, it was an advisor. I said, well, right now I'm spending my time over here, but that's not really what I'm supposed to do, right? And they're like, of course it is. As a leader, like you look at your company and you're like, all right, I'm going to float over here for a little while and we're going to move it up. We're going to float over here. We're going to move it up. And
It's like balancing dishes, like those spinning
yeah,
plates.
but it makes me feel better when others admit, yes, I'm not perfect either. We're all still growing. We're always doing it. And something that's hit me really hard this week, Colleen, is that although we're always trying to improve our businesses and we're always trying to improve our lives, and it's like we're never going to get there, people say that, oh, people matter, but it does. If you can't have fun with the people that you work with, if you can't have fun with your family, if you don't enjoy it, I think so many times as entrepreneurs, we're just like, oh, it's fine. I'm just going to grind it out. I'm just going to grind it out. I'm just going to grind it out. But honestly, if we had to walk away from our businesses today, would we be like, oh, that 15 years, huh, that was boring. I mean, no, it should be. It was so fun. I loved when we used to podcast with Colleen. I loved when we used to do this with so and so. Loved when we did, it's like I want I want it to matter, the fun, the friendships.
Yeah.
And I think we forget that. And as business owners, we forget that. But I want to encourage everybody listening in that your business is never going to be perfect, even when you sell, if you ever exit, or if you keep and stay, enjoy the process. If you don't like the people that you're working with now, bring some people into the team that you do like.
We've done that.
Mm.
That's been a huge breath of fresh air. We got that. We have a lot of different things we're working on. I'm not afraid to admit, like, it's
Yeah.
been kind of a stealing year for us where we had to reset some things. And like right now, we're really focused on operations because I can't scale without operations and we're hitting walls. So
Yeah.
operations is a big thing. And so I'm going to say operations and our services are where I needed to pull back even from great marketing and say, okay, we're going to have to focus on this first. And yeah, I'm keeping this alive and I'm feeding it, but it's not my focus right now. My focus isn't here. And I have to say no and put blinders on to so many different things to be like, if we don't get this right, it won't matter about all the other stuff. I mean, my dad's great, but like we were in the car, I think we were riding home from the airport, and he was like, "Well, you know what you should do? You should do this, and I want you to do this. You want my advice? You want it? Like we can't." I'm like, and I just look like, and I don't want to hurt his feelings, but I'm like, I have this to do, and I just want to finish this. Like I want to get this done. If I don't get this done, none of this is going to matter. And so like launching our site, getting our stuff together, like that was a big thing for us. But and I love him to pieces, but sometimes like I'm like, I know you don't know what's on my plate. I get it. And I'll try to be a better fucking thing. He was like, you should do this, this, and this. And I was like, okay, well, we can look at doing this, this, and this, but right now we need to do this.
Yep.
So no, family businesses are super fun.
Well, yeah, my dad, constant visionary, contractor,
Yeah.
great ideas all the time. I would always walk up to the whiteboard and I'd write a big no. No, 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 I'm sorry. I'd write the word new and then I'd put a big X over it. No more new. No new. There's no room for anything new.
No
I'm
new.
busy trying to do this one that you came up with last week.
Because
And
I
the week
do think,
before.
and then so he comes to this, and you probably got this from your dad too, but it's very much like, because especially in tech for either of us, it
Mhm.
is like whoever can execute the fastest in some cases. And I'm a firm believer in that. But if I can't execute something, like I've gotten through so many ready, fire, aims in my life
Oh, yeah.
that I don't want to do that again.
We're
That
tired
I,
of doing that.
yes,
Because that to me has been the biggest revenue loss.
yes.
I don't know that revenue loss is the right way to say
Well,
that, but
time for
efficiency
sure,
loss, expense, the biggest expense in business over the years is a ready, aim,
and
shoot,
morale.
try this. Yes. And it's consistent growth. Let's think about it. I love to. We were even just today in a leadership meeting, we were talking about the law of unintended consequences. Like,
Yeah.
I brought up an idea and somebody's like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, no, let's keep thinking through the chain reaction of if we move that piece, what happens? And by the end of the call, what we said, yeah, let's do that, turned into, no, let's not do that. but we have to think more and longer through things before just pulling the trigger.
No,
Oh,
I used to have some anxieties around that too, and I even hate using the A word because it's just too overused in my. But there is some level of like, am I missing out? Am I missing this? Am I not doing right by my business? Am I not jumping on the idea I need to jump in? And then it's like, you know what? If I don't get this structure good, and if I don't get to here, it doesn't matter where we're at. But I do know that I have to keep this path right here. So very Mel Robbins, but very let them in some cases.
yeah, yeah. But we got to, adopt. I know everything quickly right now, but I think that we need to test a little bit slowly and do some research and then choose, especially with
Mhm.
AI, which one we want to bring into our business and when.
Mhm.
Because I think I want the long term. I want the trust relationship. I want and like I think that's what we're known for really is the long
Mhm.
term. I mean, our client turnaround honestly
Great
is
about that.
something about 7 to 10 years, which is crazy. And we have people with us for over 20 right now.
It's amazing.
And the thing is yeah, I can jump on the shiny object, but if I can't execute and I can't follow through, like I could sell you right now everything that we could do for you. But if I pass that off to my team and we can't execute flawlessly, like, yeah, there might be some hiccups and stuff, but we're executing. But if
Mhm.
it's just falls flat and like you have your expectations are not met and you're just disappointed, that's the worst. And I think that that's something our company, for my industry, definitely for internet marketing, is a constant. And so, yeah, I take that very seriously because it's just like anything between, what your expectation was and what it actually happens is dissatisfaction.
Mhm.
Yes. And trying to close that gap.
Well, Colleen, getting into the customer experience, how does the customer experience impact whether that money actually turns into revenue?
I say this a lot, and I hope I don't offend my wonderful contractor friends, but sometimes I feel, and I've been able to recognize the difference now, a lot of the times that you're fighting a feeling. And so I'll say that a lot in our team here. Well, they'll have a difficult conversation with a customer, or they'll have a difficult conversation with, somebody, a client calling in for something. And it's like, okay, what are we winning here? Because like we might be right, and we might be absolutely like you can show the data for it, we can remember, but we're fighting a feeling. And
Mhm.
so I can't tell them what to feel. I already know that they already feel that. And even no amount of data is going to change how they feel. And I
Mhm.
do sometimes think that we get caught up in that is
Mhm.
because, and we already mentioned before, contractors can get they are busy. They have so much they have to do in their real life, and they are depending upon their third party vendors to take care of them. And
Yeah.
so when they are in their peer groups and their mentor groups, and when they're on Facebook late at night, and they're seeing all the different stuff that's going on, and other people who are telling them everything's just happy and grand, and they're getting this, and you're dumb if you're not getting this, or if somebody puts them on the spot in another call with another contractor, it's rough. I can't
Mhm.
imagine that because as vendors, we don't put ourselves up against each other and have to do that all the time. Like
Right.
but like that's hard, and especially if you don't know. So of course, if you're already frustrated and you feel like you're not getting the value for what you're paying for,
Mhm.
then like we're doing a poor job communicating that value. But then on the other side of it is like there's some point where I'm like, I think that we have to figure out what your expectations are first. So as far as customer satisfaction, it can be many different things. You just have to identify what it is. Because even if I can say technically we're doing everything you can do and you can't probably go anywhere else and get anything better, but is it this that's bothering you or is it something else? And I need to identify what is it that you're feeling that you're not getting and what can we do to help that?
Mhm.
Yeah, and that really relates well within the home and with home services is
Sure.
what is the feeling that the homeowner has? What is it that they're really looking for? And listening and empathy and listening and empathy
Yeah.
and not assuming, oh, you just want this. No, maybe they just need to be heard. There might actually be something else that they care more about.
That happened this week to us. We had somebody assume we assumed what the problem was. I'm saying we, I'll say the royal we. The royal we assumed that we knew what the problem was, and then when we got on the call, we assumed what their feelings were rather than asking them what they
Mhm.
were. And we screwed up a really big thing with the customer because we just started to explain away rather
Mhm.
than stopping and saying, you know what, we screwed up,
Mhm.
not how we do business.
Mhm.
This is what happened. It shouldn't have happened. What would make it right for you? Like, what is something we can do? Like, and that's really where that should have ended instead of where it went because we assumed.
Right.
Yeah.
I hate it. And I know we all fall in that trap. And so it's just a great reminder for all of us to ask and to listen and ask and listen and speak
Because
less.
you don't always know what their expectations are. And sometimes you could be saying, well, we're meeting all this stuff here, but if
Mhm.
it's still not what they expected, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. My neighbor had the most beautiful yard. like beautiful, the most humongous. What are they called? Those big blue flowers. Oh, good golly.
Hydrangea.
Are they hydrangeas?
Yes, how'd you get
Oh, the big, oh yeah,
Those
They
are
had
my favorite.
humongous hydrangeas all over
big
her
snowball ones. Oh,
just yard, right? And then all of a sudden a backhoe shows up in her yard. And this is like her front. She's like a gateway house, right? Beautiful in the historic.
I've been to your house, so
Well, I mean, it's not my house, it's like, but this neighborhood, right? So she's got this beautiful yard right in historic district, and a backhoe shows up, and they are digging and digging and digging, and I'm like, oh, that is so sad. She must have had the worst plumbing problem under her house. Oh, I bet all her pipes busted. I bet she's having a whole house repipe. Like that's what I thought. I was like, she's having a whole house repipe. They're having to come in from the road. Oh, that's so sad. Her yard was so nice. And then all of a sudden, all the construction's done, the backhoes are gone, and I'm like, is she not going to landscape her yard again? She's just going to keep it like that? And finally, the other night, I was talking to another neighbor, and I'm like, have you guys noticed April's yard lately? And they're like, yeah, do you know what she did? I was like, no. Oh, yeah, she made it a self-watering and self-contained yard. She's never going to have to touch landscaping ever again. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, she built a pond underneath the ground with all this like stuff.
irrigation stuff. Yeah.
Somebody's way smarter than me. And so it's a natural reservoir. Water comes down from the sky, it stays in her pond and it self-waters. It does all this stuff. But it does not look like this beautiful oasis. Instead, it looks like it's like rocks and desert and then some plants, right? But that's by design. She wanted it
Oh.
to look like that. And I'm just like, what? My point is expectations. You don't know what people want, right? I'm just like, she had this gorgeous yard, but now all of a sudden she looks like she lives in Arizona. I love Arizona yards, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yes,
But
right.
desert look,
But
right?
I've been to your historical neighborhood where you live.
Wait,
That's not the
okay.
vibe.
Oh, we have a
Okay.
yard now. Interesting. You are the one brown yard by all the green yards. This is interesting, but it was by design. So again, Natalie's going to edit out that story, I'm sure, because it sounds like a squirrel. But what I mean is, we cannot assume. We don't know what people's expectations are, what's beautiful to them versus what's beautiful to us.
What is their
They want.
definition of success?
That's
Mhm.
right. What do they want the outcome to be? And we have to ask. So
Well,
good
what
talk.
are contractors unintentionally losing opportunities after they've already paid for a lead?
I do find that sometimes they cannibalize their own stuff. That's something we see sometimes where they're paying for ads in areas that they're already surfacing. We find that a lot just because they have a budget from a wholesaler or somebody sold them a package on something or and organic is definitely not what it's used to be because obviously shrinking real estate. But I will say paid advertising isn't what it used to be either. And
Mhm.
I'm definitely not the biggest fan of paid advertising. I'll be the first to tell you that. But like I do see that there's no residual benefit to it once you turn it off. Where if
Mhm.
you do invest in organic or your citations or anything like that, there's still residual benefit to it.
Once you turn it,
There's
that's
long
a very
term.
interesting statement. Hmm.
And so the other side of that is like when you're getting an ads package, I think that ads are kind of they're not what people trust, but you also have PE companies, which you didn't have before, that have
Hmm.
much bigger budgets than what you originally had. And so they're always just going to throw money at paid advertising because a lot of them have a hard time marketing. I'm just going to be honest, especially after they consolidate 6 or 7 different companies. You have 6 or 7 brands that you're trying to market for. It's a lot easier for them to throw money, lots of money and capital at paid advertising than it is for them to actually do the work to do traditional SEO or to do any type of community engagement or leave behinds or to actually run different specials or to do any type of contest on their site or anything that they would do to raise brand awareness. So yeah, no, I do think that a lot of times we chase what we need to just because we have money to use, and sometimes you're already usurping what you already have.
Hmm.
And then a lot of it would be like fear of missing out. But we have so many things like one contractor can have who they're using for their vendors and then have what the wholesaler tells them or their OEM or whatever their package is, like includes X amount of things. So they have money they have to use there, or they're not using it where they let it go to the end of the year and they leave it there. There's so many different times that I think nobody marries it all together.
Hmm.
And so they're very disjointed. And I think that's where they end up losing money ultimately is not making it work for them with everything else they're doing.
So, Colleen, I heard you guys had some new products.
Yeah, it's definitely something big for us. We've been using the same package structure for probably about 15 years. So at the end of last year, we saw where search was going with AI and obviously some of the demands of our customers and stuff, and partnered with some very smart people that we love. And we built in some pretty cool options, and we just scrapped all of our initial packages and rebuilt. Honestly, we launched last week to our new website. We have new services, and we actually also detailed out services that we didn't have stuff before. We also had to figure out how to scale that internally, make sure that we could, provide those services. That's the other side of it, right? Like, you can advertise anything, but you got to do it. The biggest things that we've added to our packages is we've included our existing social media services. We've included those. We've included graphic design where we didn't before. We used credits before. We're including content. Content's such a big deal. So we include content pages. There's stuff that's already included in many of our stuff. We already do homepage, about us, sections, that type of thing. But now we also include, like, annually you get X amount of pages that we can do, but you can also pay per page. Some of our more shiny features would be we have our AI roadmap where we'll actually do a content roadmap with you over where you need to be for large language model search. We
Love
work
that.
with your citations. We have a service that allows you to handle all of your citations at once so that you can make updates in mass and not have to feel like you have to log into individual citations just to fix them. It's all your
Mhm.
third-party stuff. We also have, we partnered with OnePath. So OnePath is a pretty awesome tool from Contractor Charge and CI Web Group that they came together and built OnePath together. And we are coming alongside them to use it as well. We find it pretty phenomenal, but it's the ability to book calls from your website and kind of own the sales funnel. So you
Mhm.
can book right into House Call Pro, Service Titan, Google Calendar. There's tons of different options, and they're doing more integrations all the time. But you can book directly. So instead of I'm going to be honest, Service Titan's booking agents, those House Call Pros are pretty clunky. This one's pretty smooth. It's pretty easy. I think some of the genius behind it is like simple things like instead of having to do all those questions where you narrow down what type of job it is, they give people a text box and they just say, tell us what's wrong. And it's
Mhm.
so funny when you give a customer a text box, they'll actually put all the details in there. They just want to tell you stuff.
Yeah.
Like some people are so afraid that they're like, well, I need to know what type of AC is. But the thing is customers also think that like they're super special and their problem is unique. So
Yeah.
they want to give you all the details. And so you end up getting more details than what they do. It's like we were over engineering the scheduling tool for so long.
Yeah.
And they marry your customer with the existing customer in House Call Pro or Service Titan, so they're not creating duplicate accounts in your thing. So they'll let them choose between the addresses they have listed in their account, or they'll have them create an account. The capacity planning is based on what you set up, so of course you don't book over times you need to or anything like that. So it's available. There's also the chat function and a voice function, so you can actually chat with an agent, or and they'll text back and forth with you and answer basic questions like, "Are you open after 8? Do you service water heaters?" That type of thing. But then the voice option is also really, really good too. And so you train that AI to know the details about your business. But here's my favorite part is there is a human in the loop. So through Lynn services with Contractor in Charge, there's actually real people who actually understand our business. They
Mhm.
understand House Call Pro, they understand Service Type, and they understand booking for a contractor. And they're actually in the United States. And if somebody says, I have an emergency, or if the conversation goes south on an AI chat and somebody's frustrated, they can recover that. And I
Mhm.
think that's key is because we don't want to rely completely on AI, but there's definitely efficiencies. And so for smaller businesses that we work with that need somebody to be able to book calls while they're on the road or have overflow options or after hours, like this becomes a really neat tool. And you'd be surprised how many people are more and more comfortable booking online now because we're just so driven now to do that anyway.
Yeah.
So I get frustrated when I have to call for reservations now if I can't go through Open Table or Resi.
I know.
And I'm not afraid to talk to anybody, but I find myself as a consumer like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't use a button.
Everybody's getting addicted. But
So
that,
yeah,
congratulations.
Mhm.
Those are a lot of really great big new moves
yeah.
and offerings for your customers. I love that. Hey, random question, but it is applicable. If I don't know the number, but for example, you include 5 pages a year or 5 re-rates or whatever your number is, how many of your customers are actually taking advantage of that and updating their pages and getting new ones?
So we did this actually earlier on. We called it our top program or our total optimization or targeted optimization program, not total, targeted optimization program. And we had customers that, because they were on the top program last year, are completely killing it in AI search this year. But what it was is a structured strategy in order to do a content strategy around your cities, your services. Because I think this is going to get a little layered, but so like you have your website. So I have website A, website B. And let's say website A, plumber A, just makes a list of the services they do in a bullet point list on their homepage with maybe we do your service in your area page. And then plumber B, let's say they have a list of all of the stuff they do, but you can click on every service they offer, water heaters or like that. And it has an entire page of everything they do with water heaters. And then within that page, it has links into what they do with toilets. And then it links into what they do with toilets in Chattanooga. Like, so like there's a difference in content strategy. And
Yeah.
so which one has more authority to Google? Is it the bullet point list with a couple things, or is it the person that actually took the time to do not just cities pages, not just service pages, but services in cities, pictures of what you're doing all the time, maybe using Nearby Now or something like that. So we tried to get into content strategy that was they call it Spoken Hub, and they do a couple other things. And I know AI sites are also trying to do something like this too, but it's not just flat content, it's content that's also easily to spider, but it also is internally linking in your site.
Hmm.
And so that's what our targeted optimization program did. And so we wanted to scale that to all of our customers going forward to figure out what that looked like. And so hiring content writers, also using AI to enhance what we're doing, not replace what we're doing, because any monkey could use
Yeah.
AI to say, write me a plumbing page. But what you're doing is regurgitating what every other plumbing page has out there,
Eight.
which is garbage.
Yeah. Interesting.
So we have to use our own intellectual property and then be able to take that. And we also ask for the customers a lot, basically their input to be able to write those service pages. Because let's be honest, I would rather do anything than have to write an entire page about water heaters. I'm not going to lie.
Hmm.
It's not me. I'm so glad I have people on our team that love doing that.
Yeah.
But then also getting them into customizations with the city pages, like what are you involved in that city? And then mentioning different festivals and mentioning different things that are unique to that city and why you're, a community hero in that city. So there is a lot that goes into content. And I think that the people that take advantage of that, everybody that we've had so far sees results because you're basically putting yourself up against your competition. And that's going to determine how much content you need in one direction or another. Somebody in Ipswich, South Dakota doesn't need as much deliberate content as somebody in Dallas, Texas.
So, my closing question: what's the biggest mind shift contractors need when it comes to spending money to grow?
Ugh, spending more money isn't always getting more. I don't know. I do think as an industry, and this has always been my opinion, even as somebody running a business, and we had to do price increases and price changes, but I have seen some of the prices out there for where my competitors and marketing companies are, and I'm not against making money, and I'm not against capitalism by any means, but I do think when you break down what some people are selling out there and how much they're charging, it can be absolutely criminal.
Hmm.
And I was just working with mutual friends of ours, Sam Wakefield and a couple other people, where we were looking, he does, his friend Doug does forensic accounting basically for contractors. And some of the prices that you see that people are throwing at marketing or AdWords or anything like that, it's criminal. And we're talking in some cases like ten to $20,000 a month or more.
Hmm.
And you look at that portion of their revenue and like how many leads, and if they're not actually doing the attribution to match up what they're making in their revenue to what they're paying for their marketing, that's where people miss the boat. Sometimes it's just a vanity thing, like, oh yeah, we're taking care of it, we can use that. But they're not actually looking to see what they're actually booking out of it in order to justify those expenses. And some of those expenses are just overinflated
Hmm.
for what it is now with AI. So much of the work that used to be a lot more custom sometimes is a lot more automated. So I don't think, and it's so funny, the prices are going up. And we'll see that. That's another big thing I think we're going to see though, is with tokens and with data centers and stuff, we're going to be hitting a wall pretty quickly. So I don't know, be careful about what you're paying for.
Hmm.
There's not a lot of education about what marketing should cost. You'll see lots of conversations on, Reddit and lots of conversation on Facebook on how much should I pay for my marketing and stuff, or how much should my flat rate company cost. And like, it's kind of crazy. So I guess the thing is you have to decide where the value is and making sure that you're also attributing what your gains are to that. Like how much revenue did you actually make on that to make it worth it?
Yeah, it's so important to look at, all right, this is what we spent and X is what we got. Is that what we thought we were going to get? Is that what we got good or bad? Do we
Yeah.
need more? And looking at the percentage there and increasing it and focusing on how do we increase what we get?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I just got the phone with a guy who makes less than $500,000 a year.
Hmm.
And he was saying that he was spending somewhere around, $7,000 a month on his marketing. And I was like,
Man.
that's like one
Hmm.
install. I was
Yeah,
like,
let's
you
not
better
do
be
that.
getting that.
Let's not do that. Right. Right. We need less is more. We need the right things. We need more of the right things. I hate spending money, to be honest. I hate spending money. I mean, I'm like, you better prove that that is silver platter gonna give us exactly what we expected before we spend. Interesting. Thank you, Colleen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
If you want to learn more about the new flat rate, go to thenewflatrate.com. Lastly, don't forget to check out online access at hvacwebsites.com.